Well, Daniel, thanks for being here. Start these as we usually do. Why are we here? What would you like to discuss?
As always, I'm always here to learn. It's always been great to, hear from your perspective. But how was Dubai over the New Year's?
Well, it's pretty. Oh, I usually get questions on my end really quick. I like ending the new year in Dubai, and conversely, starting the new year in Dubai. It's the same trip. We do it every year just to continue our business relations when we're there. And I know other people have talked about this, and I didn't really understand it until I started going there year after year. Thank you very much. It's what's called there's actually a condition called the Dubai effect. And it always sounds silly when you hear it on social media or someone talking about it, but it is absolutely true. When you immerse yourself in just the lifestyle and the culture there, and I'm not talking about tigers in Rolls Royces and all that kind of stuff. When you actually stop and look at everyone around you and you just see the flow of wealth and how they all take care of each other. So like there's no homelessness, everybody has a job, everybody contributes. The system just works, and you just see that the more you put in, the more you get out. It's an instant, I wouldn't even call it like an instant gratification, but it is the easiest way to, I guess, see results because everyone around you is rooting for you. In North America, it's almost like people want to pull you down to elevate themselves, that crab in a barrel type thing. But over there, no one cares what you're worth because chances are they're worth more. It doesn't hurt you or hurt them if you become something incredible. So the more time I spend there, and I'm a fairly ambitious person, but every time I spend a few days there, a few times a year, it really lights a fire under my ass. And everything that I thought I was doing well, I can do a little bit better. And no one wants anything from me there. So it's a really nice feeling where you go and everybody's just rooting for you. They want to honestly hear how you're doing. First thing they do is they wish you good health, you and your family. Has nothing to do with business, has nothing to do with money, has nothing to do about talking about brands like it is here. And over there, it's just because when you're dealing with wealthy people, they don't care what you show up wearing or looking like, as long as you're presentable and respectable.
Right,
obviously.
yeah.
No tattoos out, no over, too much skin or anything like that. Like they actually value modesty. You don't wear gold jewelry there because that is considered, in their belief system, too much extravagance. So most people you'll see dressed the same. Yeah, there's different prices on the clothing that they wear, but no one wears gold jewelry. It's all white gold or platinum because yellow gold is considered too opulent for a human to wear. It's too almost braggy kind of thing. So it's actually, this is considered one of the wealthiest places in the world, but they still visually keep it under wraps. The social media, like I said, the tigers in Rolls Royces, that happens, but you have to curate that. You have to rent that look.
Yeah.
It's not...
Would you say it's coming back to the whole, they want to see you succeed. Is it the collective mindset there that's like just different than you would say over in North America, or?
I think it comes down to the fact that they're not intimidated. It's not competition. Business is just healthy. Put it this way. Competition is expensive. For you to do something, to fight someone else's product or whatever, it costs a lot of money to do that. Wealthy people have just understood over time. Maybe they started with the wrong mindset. Yeah. They've just figured out it's much cheaper and less time consuming to just work with someone. So if you got two billionaires trying to grow a company in a certain market, they can try and grow organically while fighting each other, or they can just pool their resources, which means they only need to put in half. They've lowered their personal liabilities, and together they can build that one thing that would have had to have been two things that were in competition. They can build one efficiently, which means they get results quicker, they spend less money, the revenue goes up, and they can move on to the next project. The wealthy work together. The broke mindsets are actually the greedy ones who want their bigger portion of the pie. So it's not so much that they're just rooting for you. They'll help. It doesn't hurt them to help.
That's right.
So it's maybe like they're not going to lend you money. Like lending money is not a thing that's done over there. But they'll help you with, if you're respectful, they'll help you with their connections. I don't know how many times we have someone, don't worry, my friend. We will make this happen, my friend. And I just, wow, I didn't even I just tossed out the idea and they said, I've got someone who can help you. And then I come back here and everybody's more like, they're just, I can't help you because you might take a piece of my pie. I don't want to help you because you might steal my ideas or whatever it is. Or here they're just like, that's too big of an idea for you. You're just from, you're just from Canada. You don't think like that.
Well, it seems like they're, at the end, and it's the same for everybody, but somebody else's success doesn't take away from our own success, right?
No.
And I know we've talked lots about
Here's
that.
the first one.
Thank you.
No worries.
Thank you. Best ramen in the city.
Yeah. We talked about it actually back when I first met you with the 1%. When you told me that, and I always said, when I was younger, I always thought of, wanting to be, part of the 1%, working towards, and, one thing I always thought about is, why beat them if you could just join them?
Absolutely.
Right? And maybe that's that same mindset that's over there of working together.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how smart you are. You can't know everything. So you execute what you do very well within the group, and then someone else can pick up the slack where they're the expert on that area. So imagine if you had to, let's say you have to make this bowl of ramen yourself. It's funny this shows up, so it's an example.
Yeah.
Let's say Andrew over there makes the best grilled pork. You make the best noodles. I get the eggs just right. Now, if person number 4 wanted to put this all together, they'd have to learn every aspect, so every piece of this was perfect, so the whole bowl would come together, which is what you get at a Michelin restaurant. It's so their work as a team because there's a team of specialists in every area. In order to get that perfect bowl, everybody had to be a specialist. Imagine one person trying to be an expert at every one of those. It might happen eventually, but you could just start selling the perfect bowl the moment the 4 of you came together with an idea.
Yeah.
Now, and no one has to take the credit. As a group, you just take the credit and the revenue comes in because then the city finds out you make the best bowl of ramen. People start coming in, people start posting about it. Or you could do it the way the North Americans do and throw shit at the other company. Ours is better. They're cheap with their ingredients. They buy discount this and that. Why?
No.
Why? But this is what most people know. And they think the wealthy are the problem. If you're just respectful instead of saying, burn the rich, there shouldn't be anybody worth that much money or whatever the hell broke people say, if they just started listening and not getting, scaring those people away by taxing them more, they could learn so much. The only reason we really started doing what we were doing was to open up the world of average mindsets to what's going on around the world. Like, we don't need people to invest in what we do. There's no course to buy. It is, you come do charity. I mean, we just went and fed hundreds of meals before this happened because one of our members said, I got the day off tomorrow. Want to go feed the community?
Definitely.
Today's Wednesday.
Yeah.
So it's not a lot of people have it off, but guess what? Someone without a house or without food still needs to eat on a Wednesday. So when one of our friends says, we should go feed tomorrow. Well, if I don't have something in the freezer to thaw, to get ready, I'll just go buy it. I didn't ask anyone to buy any of the food today. I said, hey, do we got some hands to help distribute it? Because it's easier to feed 200 people with 5 sets of hands instead of me, myself, trying to hold all the containers, feed it out, and maybe drop something. We fed 200 people in less than half an hour. And we walked in the middle of winter. That's all I asked the group to do, and some people did, and the rest of the city didn't. So that's where the frustration came in. Now, that has nothing to do with wealth, but it has to do with wealth mindset. Here's the target. Do we want to fight other groups to make this target happen, or do we just want to put the feelers out there and see who comes to us because they understand this needs to be done? Not one of you guys says, what do I get out of it? Well, you don't get paid up front for doing charitable work, but what happens, and there's a lesson behind why it's taken so long for me to get to the point, is who are you going to meet when there's a group of individuals out feeding the community when no one else is doing it? You don't know who they're going to be. It might be one of the people that we are, and I'm not going to talk about myself, but I think access to what we do has helped a few people
Absolutely.
Whether they're entrepreneurs, investors starting out, people trying to get a mortgage, whatever it is.
Just knowledge.
Just knowledge. But I'm not going to go out there and offer what I know to people who've done nothing for the community we're trying to support. 5 people showed up today. A lot of people got fed. Cool. Now I know who's worthy to sit down for those dinners and have those conversations, because they said, I'll do something before I get something back. You are the community that you live in. So if you don't like the community that you live in, or you think there's a problem on the streets or with security, or someone's not eating, or that's dirty, if you have a problem with it, you should be the first person doing something about it. Not taking to social media and complaining, not telling your councilman that there's garbage right out in front of your house.
Not be about it, don't talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. I've rarely seen something get done from complaining, other than cancel culture. And 2026 is a result of what people think they've made the world better with their, just call it ignorant mindsets, which mirrors broke mindsets. It's always someone else's
similarities.
fault. Oh, it really is. When you get deep enough into the conversation, you find out what I'd call it a thought process, but it's actually lack of a thought process. It's absolutely crazy. So
Yeah.
how's business going for you? Because I know you got 5 locations.
Yeah, I mean, we just had our holiday season, so some of the, best months of the year. Helps make up, obviously, for sometimes in retail for January, February.
Oh, January, February, yeah.
It's definitely...
Till Valentine's Day.
Exactly, yeah. And so, but yeah, man, just, juggling the different hats of being a business owner, having to...
What do you mean? You don't just wake up at 11 o'clock in the morning and cash that check and go buy yachts and stuff?
We think of everything all day. It's never off, right? And
25 hours a day, 8 days a week.
Yeah. But I've been really grateful that, I've had a good team and a good structure. Prior to having my son, setting that up has really allowed me to also have that time that space to think, to grow the business as well, kind of step away from just the operations and really think about what the next steps are. We've talked lots about what, that might look like, and I'm really just trying to plan, what what my life looks like, moving forward. So,
well, the fact that you already pivoted, you've got very successful revenue generating businesses. We don't know the duration of that. A lot of people would have just stopped at, I've built these businesses that give me revenue that I can spend on things that North Americans don't need. You could have stopped there, because that's already many steps above what an average mindset does. But you read the markets, you realized this doesn't have the longevity. I have a son now. I now have to think 40 years out, at least 18 until education fund.
Exactly.
Where's this son going to live if he wants to move somewhere to go to school? What's school going to cost if he wants to go to one of the big schools? Like, all those things that get added onto already formulating the business process. And you're like, I should get into property development, because that's also a good way to hold equity.
Exactly.
Not make big revenue, as you've found out. The cost versus revenue is not what people think it is.
That's right.
That is a long game. But in order to play a long game successfully, there has to be a starting point and what you'd call the growing pains.
Yes.
I mean, you've lost almost a year just on the permitting.
That's such a good way to put it. It's the growing pains, for sure.
Plural. I shouldn't have said one. Yeah.
It's just, I couldn't believe. Again, we talked about it during the walks. Yeah. And I was pretty optimistic about when we can get our permitting and stuff like that. And yeah, it's frustrating. It's holding on to the capital, but at the end of the day, it's what I'm willing to go through to learn and be able to grow my equitable investments. Yeah. As you've said, right? And so, yeah, it's. I think I'm really understanding what, before, I think a lot of people think that you have to. Obviously, when you're starting up, you have to obviously work, trade your time for the money, build up an investment. But now that I'm at a point where I'm investing, I'm starting to really understand that it takes a lot of mental power to just work through everything and try to, I guess.
You have to keep yourself positive every day. When the system is, people assume that getting there is so easy because it looks easy when you're there. They have no idea how How many bats were there? You ever see the Shaolin wooden men in the old kung fu movies where you got in order to pass the final test, you got to walk through them, and every step of the way they're hitting you up high, hitting you down low, tripping you in the feet. That's the path of success. But people only see the power player that comes out at the end and says, I can't do that, or that life is easy because now they've got the results that I want. They didn't see how many punches they took along the way. It's ridiculous. And you're going through, okay, you've had a successful business, but that's nothing compared to where you want to be. So now you got to reline up against those wooden dummies and take a bunch of hits that you didn't know again.
Exactly.
A lot of people won't even bring their ego down to do it again because that's scary. So they pretend they're good where they were, and then where they were becomes the normal, which slowly, life gets more expensive every year. But if you don't elevate that last game, you stay static as well. And that's the problem with the average mindset or the broke mindset, is they think that their income should go up at the rate of life's expenses. Your life expenses go up because you've put a value on them. So it's in demand. If I decide I need this cup of coffee, the person selling it to me gets to dictate the price. If all you have to offer your employer is the same skill that you had last year, you haven't leveled up, you haven't added anything more in demand. Your employer doesn't owe you more money just because your coffee or your rent or your utilities went up. This is where now they start getting mad at business owners, corporations. Oh, they're all greedy, they're all this, they're all that. No, they get nothing else from you. Their product doesn't cost more now, you just want more money. You're asking them, after they've taken all those hits to get where they are, you're asking them to now give you more money, and you're not producing more for them. And this is where the greatest separation of when they talk about the pay disparity. They get so mad because these people are they've put everything on the line. They've got loans, they have families that rely on the pay that gets generated. These people have to make those decisions. And these people typically don't appreciate it. They just believe that they're being taken advantage of. How do we bring them to so they understand each other? So these people understand what this person went through, then they'll at least respect it and maybe say, okay, I understand that I have to put in more effort, and I'll give this person the opportunity to see my extra effort and pay me extra. Not, I'm going to work even less because they don't pay me more, which is the current mentality.
Absolutely.
Don't give them 40 hours, that's a scam. Well, how you can... The math don't math.
The math doesn't math.
So then guys like you are going to go at it 3 more levels higher.
Yeah. No, it's you know what you just said. It's frustrating because I've dealt with that, right? Just like, and we've talked about before, like, you know, they only see the result, not the risk that's been taken up to this point, and still continually being taken, right? And so managing those expectations is tough, especially even as a younger, I guess, entrepreneur with some of my staff, even being a little bit older, right? Trying to manage those expectations. It's always, I find it's always a work in progress.
It is. Because you want to treat them well, but at the same time, they have to self-motivate. You shouldn't have to go in to motivate people. It's fine to inspire people, but it's not your job to get them excited to come to a job that you're already paying them. Their reward for coming to work and doing the job that they signed up for is the paycheck.
Exactly.
You don't owe them anything more. Obviously, you don't give them substandard working conditions, but until they show exemplary work, they don't get additional pay. But you want to keep them happy. But they're listening to all their broke friends talk about, oh, you know, it's okay if you go in late on Monday or leave early on Friday. Just tell them your kid's sick, or you got to, you know, you're going to beat traffic. There's always an excuse for the broke mindset. The people who've taken the risks do not have excuses, because the bank doesn't say, oh, you can't make your lease payment on the building or your payment on your equipment.
Doesn't matter.
The bank's like, I'm sorry, did you just give us an excuse why?
Can't just call into the bank.
Yeah, that's exactly it. But the average mindset has got excuses lined up before the problem even comes up. If that doesn't lay out result-based mindset, I don't think anyone will ever understand it. If you have an excuse as to why you cannot achieve, you've premeditated that thought process, which means you have a broke or weak mindset. And that's why we just shut down the page to the public, and we removed all those extra followers because they had 5 years to shit or get off the pot, literally. Are you going to come help us in the community? And we'll continue to educate for free, or do you just want to go back to your life? Because we're not even interested in convincing people to do something for their community anymore. Now it's just, that page originally had like 22,000 followers. And yeah, there were a lot of double accounts. So let's just say that there was 12 or 13,000 unique active accounts in there. That would make most Instagram influencers very jealous, because after 10,000 you can start monetizing. We didn't even look into those avenues because we don't want to monetize social media. We wanted to monetize helping in the community. And of those, let's call it 12,000, 13,000 unique accounts that were following us, we didn't even get 100 people who were willing to come out and help. That told us everything we need to know about current modern day entitled, privileged society. They just think there should be a handout. Wealthy people owe them something, but when it's time to make their community better, they weren't there for it. So we thought, okay, cool. We hand removed 12,000 people over that was fun. But it was unfortunate that, this social experiment that we did in the city, that was like, okay, you can come and grow with us around the world, but you got to put the time in. They didn't want to. So we're okay with that.
And that shocks me as well,
I mean, you're ramping up here to come travel with us, but you've seen what the others who have traveled with us around the world, whether we took them to Italy, the Dominican, Dubai, Hong Kong, what they've learned traveling there. These aren't vacations. You're able to sit down with board of directors for financial institutions, the way banking is done, and the governing bodies, the boards of tourism, how they think to generate billions for their country, the developments done around the world. We don't go on vacation. We take these young entrepreneurs around the world to understand what they're doing. So if no one bothered to ask that question, they lost out on the chance to come do stuff at a level. Anyone can go somewhere and rent a yacht and post it on Instagram and look like they're doing something. Why did you waste all that money? You could have just come with us and used ours. And then it would have had value because you're actually there, not faking it. You're on a yacht paid for by a corporation that does X in this country, or is part of this over here. And you could have learned how those people got to where they are, which will help you when you get back home understand how to do more than what your old mind thought was possible.
And that's
they just want to post pictures on Instagram.
And that's why I'm so excited for to be able to join the trips. I think again I'm looking to, like you said, grow my mindset and changing it from just revenue-based business into equitable investments. And
money gets taxed, equity doesn't.
And
that's not avoiding taxes. That's delaying it until you control the variables. Then you'll determine how much equity to sell for the cash that you need, and then you pay taxes subsequently. It's not evasion. It's just controlling the variables of tax.
Absolutely. And that's why I'm so curious to see, like I said, and learn from people that have done it, from taking from my mindset and growing it from there. And
wealth just is what you understand that you can do with what other people can think is money. Money, currency, whatever you call it. That's the system that simple minds use. So they go to work, and then they can trade something that they worked for what they want, not always what they need. If people just lived within their means, they'd only buy what they need. And what you need is food and shelter. You don't need a $60,000 car when a $28,000 car will do the same thing, or you can get one used, or you can get a bus pass for $200. You convince yourself you need all those other things, and then you end up paying interest to make payments on it, which completely destroys your future value, because every month you're making someone else's value higher and paying interest, so exponentially devaluing your life. I guarantee you half the people watching this have no idea what I just said.
And so coming back to, do you find that's, again, a North American thing because of the way society makes people want to have, and consumerism and stuff like that?
Those are just simple terms that get thrown around media so you can look for an enemy. This is a progressive world fault, because let's say 100 years ago, there really was no such thing as credit unless you were a very wealthy landowner, cattle owner, whatever it was. You'd get a little bit of credit based on you had assets. So there was an equal trade. Your harvest isn't ready, I'll lend you until the harvest is ready, you sell it, you pay me back. Hard assets. Over time, people were just allowed credit because they had jobs, which they would work hard at. As soon as they were allowed to get more credit than their job would pay for, they still had to go and accept it. Then they're like, wow, I can have all these things that other people used to have to earn. I can just go buy it. So it's devaluing the prize because they can go get it instantly, which gets rid of the value, the personal value. Like anyone can go buy. The example I always use is like a Rolex Submariner. It's a waiting list watch. But it used to be, oh, I just did my first 6-figure deal. I just had my first 7-figure year. I'm going to go get myself this $12,000 watch. Well, now anyone with a line of credit that wants to look like they've succeeded can go to the secondary market and just pay over that price
And get it.
and just get it instantly and be like, look, I got the same watch that wealthy person that just drove by does. See, but because you didn't earn it, you don't have value on it. So then you're going to chase the next thing that looks like success. So you keep using your credit to go backwards, whereas the old way was you'd buy it as I just hit this milestone. So it had value. The people chasing the look are actually what drive the market up. So they're the ones that take the biggest hits when it comes back down every time there's a credit collapse. Wealthy people don't do that. Because wealthy people only borrow against assets they have. Broke mindsets borrow against their income. So when they get laid off, all that debt that they've accumulated never gets paid back. The system loses. The banks lose. Insurance companies lose. So then what happens? Rates go up. So next year you have less job, more expenses. Wealthy don't have that because they control all those variables we were talking about. Like we're in the insurance industry as well. We're in precious metals. We're in resources. So we control what that costs us. It doesn't, I'm sorry if your rent went up. It doesn't matter. Those were the votes you made to run a country a certain way where you think you should be able to be taken care of. And now the cost of that falls on you.
Yep.
If we own the houses, it's not our fault that the housing market went up. The demand for houses made the market go up.
Yep.
Which then, like if you just take the last 12 years in Canada, all the premise behind the very liberal mindset was tax the rich, we're oppressed, we're this, we're that, it's not our fault, boo-hoo, we're victims. You can't go after the wealthy because they only hold assets. So all you're doing when you overtax and put these special things in place is you make the end goods cost more. So if you bring in hundreds of thousands or millions of people, the housing, which the socialist mindset is like, yeah, let everyone come over, whatever. And I agree, because my grandparents came over.
Yep.
The country was built on people that came over.
Yep.
But if you just blindly say, we shouldn't put a cap on it or you're racist, we just start throwing, because they don't realize that they're the cause of these costs going up. They don't want to take responsibility for not keeping their government in check. And then what happens is there's another 1.5 million people in the country this year that need a home. And to me, I don't care where they come from. If they're willing to work, cool. To me, you're Canadian. The moment you come here and you work, you should be a proud Canadian, cool. But they need somewhere to live, which means houses need to be bought. There's not enough houses. Housing price goes up. Who does that help? The people who owned the assets to begin with. So this attempt to vote in a government to go after the wealthy just made the wealthy landowners and property owners 80% richer because of that socialist mindset that elected them in the first place. They're never going to understand that, so they just resort to more name calling,
More blaming,
guilt, shame, blame, and all that. Numbers don't lie, math doesn't lie, and it's not biased, subjective, or anything like that. This is what supply and demand is. You can't have anything for free. And that is the realities of the world. So we're left in 2026 now with people who can't afford to eat, really. which is a terrible situation. This is why the only charity we still do, other than feeding in the community, is the food bank. We make sure anywhere between 10 and 20,000 a month goes to the food bank, because people should at least be eating. What's unfortunate is people that didn't plan for the future, who are eating steak 4 or 5 times a week. It doesn't matter the cost, because I don't even look at the bill. I got dirty Alberta oil money. Well, now you're unemployed. And you're going to blame the greedy corporations when you used to make dirty Alberta oil money salaries that you could have bought assets, but you bought a lifted Ford Super Duty. You bought an $80,000 truck and put $50,000 worth of shit in it, so you couldn't even pay the bills the moment you didn't get one paycheck. Then you had to lose your fifth wheel and your quads and your Sea-Doos and your lake house. So there you go. All that credit never gets paid back, and they say the wealthy are the problem. But the reality versus what broke minds think, because they're just told to think that way. And as long as it aligns with them not having to look in the mirror and say, I'm the problem, they start saying the wealthy are the problem.
Yeah. Well, it's easier to blame than...
It is. The wealthy have no money. The wealthy just have leveraged assets. So all the money went to the broke people, because the broke people need to trade money for what they want. Super Duties, quads. Unfortunately, there's a segment of them that need to trade money for rent and food for their family. And because of the ignorance of everyone else in that middle to lower range, they've just exploded the price of everything. So this is the world we're living in now. And we'd love to help everyone, but you don't help anyone by giving them money. You have to learn how to bring up your value, and then you always have value. That can never be taken away from you. And this is where I've been really impressed by, because you're much younger than me, but you're right at that age where that big shift happened for me. And you're technically further ahead than I am, because that was just business that got me where I was. I was just doing more and more and burning myself out. You're already diversifying your portfolio of equity. And I can see, I know what that looks like mathematically. I know it's hard for you to see because you haven't done each of them all to completion. Within 5 years, you don't have to worry about revenue anymore, because you'll just be at the point where you're making equitable plays. You're just leveraging against this to make the next one. You don't have to worry about generating revenue to make your next play. You're just leveraging off the 3 that you've already put in place, because they're growing while paying themselves off. So that equity is being built. You just borrow against it for the next one. You don't just magically come up with $1 billion and become a billionaire. Like, who thought of that? when they're mad at billionaires, how do you think you got there? Money doesn't I'm going to put this $100 bill right here, and it's going to reproduce asexually. Like, this broke mindset. They think billionaires have $1 billion worth of money.
You have to add value.
Yeah, and they continually create value. You know, like the example I used was the wine. That was a 4.5-hour meeting to decide a very low quantity of this wine was going to be sold for this much, because it's rare. So in 4.5 hours, 1.9 million euro allocation for wine was created. Broke people can't afford that.
Can't fathom it.
They can't fathom it. But in one meeting, where everybody was drinking wine, eating some bread, having some olive oil and some cheese in Italy, another 2 million euro was created. And it was sold out within 5 weeks. Because wealthy people want exclusivity, rarity, because it always goes up in value. You break a bottle, the remaining few that are left are worth more. You drink a bottle, the remaining few are worth more. It's an investment. That didn't hurt broke. It's a scarce asset. Broke people didn't even know it existed, so how could it possibly hurt them? But they believed that somehow there was money involved in that. There isn't. There was an assigned value, equitable trade, and something of value is stored. And that's why it was so important that we shut the page down to the public, because I'm not interested in our group having those discussions with broke minds anymore, because we don't waste time. You don't get where we are by wasting time going online and commenting back and forth. If you use your time like that, I can tell you exactly why you're going to remain broke. You don't use your time well. You're probably doing that well at work, expecting to get a paycheck. Ooh, that probably stings a lot of people who just heard me say that.
One of the, I guess, mindset shift changes I had was learning, like you said, that the wealthy, they don't rely on the income. It's all about the equity. And I think that, one of the biggest things, almost a frustration I had as I was building my business is, you take everything that you worked for and you invested in the first store, right? And then you do it all again, and every single time, I open a store, it's like I'm putting everything I got into it. And if sometimes it feels like, oh man, I have this progress or these businesses I built, but I still feel broke, like maybe not access to capital because it's all invested. But I think I'm now starting to feel okay. I mean, I've been okay with it because I've been doing it, but now I understand that more, learning from you, that it's like, it's not about the capital that you have access to immediately, because again, that can be burned. People go through
Absolutely.
it, but it's the equity that you hold. That, and I just, it was so hard to be okay with that, I guess, at first, is because like, man, all my money keeps going away. Like I keep putting into assets, but it doesn't feel good at the time.
And all that effort, each new store yielded less results, didn't it? Less percentage of results. So you got the formula. You knew how to put the proposal in place, acquire the lease, or in your place situation, sometimes you acquired the land and the property as well. So you were learning more, but each of those steps didn't give the return at the new level of knowledge you had. So you just created another duplicate, which generated revenue, but the return was not matching the time now, because your knowledge sets your value, your skill higher, but you were getting less than what the last store did each time that you open one, whether it's because of a diluted market or because the liability of employees, which employees don't even understand what that means. Until you finally said, I'm going to do something that I haven't done before. I'm going to start truly over again, because I can do the math and understand that 5 years from now, that will be further ahead than opening up more stores, which I know and I'm comfortable with. But I can also do the math here and say that a sixth store doesn't actually get me more. It's more liability. Let's front load the liability into the new thing, a complete development, where I'll go through the hardships, I'll go through the tough times, I'll learn it the first time, but that one I can, the current parlance is scale, but we both know that's a bullshit word. I can duplicate that for much bigger results. I'll use the base that I've laid to fund the next equitable play, and that will yield more equity, not more revenue. I guarantee you, property is never going to help you, especially in Canada, is going to help you eat really well. This isn't the 70s. What it's going to do is set your children up to be able to take over this empire. You got a newborn, basically. I call anything under 3 years a newborn, because they're just liability. They can't even tell you what they're thinking.
Truly.
So you've got 18 years. So you're planning 18 years out. Most people won't even plan 18 days out. They're just trying to get the payday so they can get drunk. And they'll never understand what you've gone through, what you're willing to go through, just to make sure your son never has to do it.
Exactly.
And then your responsibility is to make sure your son understands what dad went through to get you there. Just so we don't get the nepotism that comes out of the ignorance of being born into better than average. They have to appreciate it. They never truly will, because they're never going to worry about putting a meal on a table. So you make sure they take out the trash at dad's business, because you never want them shitting on the janitor. Because you need that janitor. No one wants a dirty toilet. So that janitor is just as important to that Fortune 500 company as that CEO. Chances are that CEO 40 years ago scrubbed the toilet. A good CEO never shits on the janitor, never shits on the secretary, never shits on junior management. That's the illusion that they show you on social media. So there's other layers of responsibility that an entrepreneur has to take on. I'm building this empire. What if it ruins my children? The empire I'm building to protect them in the future, what if it turns them into those Nepo babies that just, they're drunk through I got them into Harvard and they were just drunk for 4 years, stoned, knocked up somebody. That's a whole different set of problems that average folk have no idea even exist. So it's, still want to do it?
I think I already signed up for it.
You're kind of stuck at this point.
I think I'm deep in it. But no, I appreciate all the the insight, because again, I don't know what I don't know, and again, really trying to get to that next level of mindset. I don't have anybody to really discuss this stuff with, right? And again, anybody that's been through it, especially, and that's who I want to learn from, is somebody that's been through it and has experienced all the different trials and tribulations of entrepreneurship and all the different stuff, all the equity investments and stuff. But it's
I'm
so hard to
50% older than you. And 99% of what I know came from somebody else. My fault in life wasn't even the business mistakes I made. It was my mindset in my 20s. I'm going at this alone. That's how I know it doesn't work. Because I did that. And what I thought it was working based on what I knew in my 20s. And then I got invited to sit at some tables if I was respectful. And I got to see what they did with their time. I felt like the dumbest person. I was like, I just lost my 20s. Because like I said, I was your age before the big shift. So I learned how to make revenue at the expense of 18-hour days. I'd be dead by now if I kept doing that.
Yeah.
I seemed like an idiot. The person a year later looked back at the 29-year-old version of me and said, what the? Why did you wait so long to put your ego down and learn how to do this properly? I was doing it right at the low tables. I maxed out what a low table mindset did. Just one more table up and I look like an idiot. Talk about a kick in the jewels.
Absolutely. Never want to be the smartest person in the room.
Thank God I'm never the smartest person.